when you are not with where majority of Americans are, then, you know, that is extreme. That is an extreme way of thinking.
Set you free, but I really want to let you be. And a part of me wished I could set myself aside, just let you take the ride, just chalk the rest up to destiny. I could let you believe that the only restraints in life are the size of your dreams. Let you believe each kid grows up with the world at their feet. When I know too well it's open season, I know they're taking stock and raising stocks and raising stock. And I'm simply not here to sit and watch as you learn the lesson all cogs are taught. Keep your head down and keep to task and just keep on blocking the rest of it all out. Just keep on with the rest of the herd of a million adjacent oblivious workers. The forest unseen for the trees, and the trees unseen for the fallout. No, what's more damning, baby, the truth or the ignorance? Fuck it, I honestly wonder if I see the answer so well. Baby, believe me well, I know it's scary, I scare myself. If I could find a way out of my head, I would run like hell. I would ditch this body politic, mindless occupant somewhere far from the dismal abyss. In the tranquil crystalline bliss of the beach, I could rest with the rest of the shells. And if anyone asks I'm anywhere else, if I'm really needed, just light the candle, then read the book, and then ring the bell. Oh, my untarnished heart, my little perfect soul, this world will melt your mercy down so they can sell its gold. This world will take your worth and then demand 1,000-fold. It's full of greedy pigs who'll eat you out of house and home. They'll strip your bank account and sweep you somewhere down the road, and then return to eat your tent and shitty bike you rode. Your bottled water, only shoes and coat and broken phone. Then smiling in your face, they'll tell you that the shelter's closed.
When you are not with where majority of Americans are, then, you know, that is extreme. That is an extreme way of thinking.
Hoped you would never find out, knew that you had to know. Pulling what's left of my mind out, trying to tell you so. I tried to block the light out, knew you could feel its glow. I've been here holding my hands out, trying to keep you close, trying to keep you close.
Oh, my untarnished heart, a trail of dead. It's just one more world war to complete the set. When you live by the pike, you die by the pith. You die wide-eyed, still pleading the fifth, or crying divine epithets and pathetic attempts at defense. All empathetic for those on your side of the fence. Well, I'll gladly put you and your legacy into an alternate tense of faltering senses and altered events. Like hun, it ain't a hearse, it's a reaper's stretch. Ah, how sweet, she said. Bunch of hordes in the street like it's Evil Dead. Where the thin blue line meets razor's edge. And where the corporate ladder ascends to a steel-toed boot that awaits on the ledge. You'll be licking it fresh at your boss's request till it stomps each finger and watches you fall to your death and drown in an ocean of debt. Gone with the fodder who gathered to honor the patient left, who purity tested themselves into sections step by step till the next election, when it's just one them and the sound of their well-read theorized breath. That's harm reduction for the lowly cost of you holding your nose and just openly buying the theft. Maybe that's all in the flick of the pen. Maybe we're all one unmarked van from a trip to the pen, being guarded by pigs who exist on a diet of dying breaths of much worthier men. Honey, heaven's expecting you. Just don't get too hung up on who they let in. Just look up at the shine of the pearly gates. You don't need to worry if there's lead in the paint. You don't need to worry if there's lead in the water, lead in the milk, lead in the honey, lead in the caustic embrace of the Heavenly Father. Lead is the flavor of passive perpetual slaughter. Lead is the taste of us led to the ledge by the lure of the legend of expert consensus, and then beckon to stretch it just one step farther. And I hope all the folks who were boastfully gloating and toasting themselves as the heroes of COVID for boosting their boosters and doing their part are now equally thrilled to be starstruck martyrs. All laid in a government grave with anonymous markers, like you're back from the carvers and off to the splicer. You're the very first wave to be slain in the war against Pfizer, that 100 years war against Pfizer. They are thinning the crowd that is striking right now to bleed adequate pay from those inhuman misers, who all sit in their office and designate coffins to people regarded as nothing but profit for Kaiser. Still the Dems want you nicer. Dems want you softer. Dems want you kinder. Yeah, they all want you graciously starving in silence. You will speak when you're spoken to. Rest of the time, you and all of us peasants are merely depressing statistics neglected in Congress's binders. All bled, bone dry, then fed to the grinder. Our headstones line each step as reminders. That's a lesson in object permanence learned in the furnace. The fire. Workers bled, bone dry, then fed by the fed to the grinder. Fed by the fed to the grinder. Now the Fed went straight to your head. Mind what you hide and your sighs unsaid, and your eyes turn blind to the signs unread. Flag bright red, so you let it in bed. You let it inside, and you'll see that it's fed. Never you mind that it grinds your wealth into bread for itself, then it bleeds you dry, then it dines on the dead. Now the Fed went straight to your head. Mind what you hide and your sighs unsaid, and your eyes turn blind to the signs unread. Flag bright red, so you let it in bed. You let it inside, and you'll see that it's fed. Never you mind that it grinds your wealth into bread for itself, then it bleeds you dry, then it dines on the dead. And the Fed went straight to your head. Mind what you hide and your sighs unsaid, and your eyes turn blind to the signs unread. Flag bright red, so you let it in bed. You let it inside, you'll see that it's fed. Never you mind that it grinds your wealth into bread for itself, bleeds you dry, then dines on the dead. The Fed went straight to your head. Mind what you hide and your sighs unsaid, and your eyes turn blind to the signs unread. Flag bright red, so you let it in bed. You let it inside, and you'll see that it's fed. Never you mind that it grinds your wealth into bread for itself, then it bleeds you dry, then it dines on the dead. Here's where our leaders would see us all led. Here's where our leaders would see us all led. Here's where our leaders would see us all led. Here's where our leaders would see us all led. The Fed went straight to your head. Mind what you hide and your sighs unsaid, and your eyes turn blind to the signs unread. Flag bright red, so you let it in bed. You let it inside, you'll see that it's fed. Never you mind that it grinds your wealth into bread for itself, then it bleeds you dry, then it dines on the dead.
pen went straight to your head. Mind what you hide and your size unsaid, and your eyes turn blind to the signs unread. Flag bright red, so you let it in bed. You let it inside, you'll see it, it's fed. Never your mind, that it grinds your mind, that it grinds yourself, that it bleeds you dry, that it dines on the dead.
Here's where our leaders would see us all led.
We are back. Hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody. Hey, man. It's been like 6 weeks.
Oh,
And
right?
This is American tradition
Yeah,
with Jesse
it really
Jett,
has.
this guy. Like I'm just here. Let me go
episode
to
20.
yeah,
Episode 20.
I'm just the guy down here. It's this guy. Or like this guy's doing it. It's episode 20. We are 20 episodes in, folks, and holy shit. This guy, yeah, so he spit out another thing. So we've got
Another.
six more spoken word pieces. JesseJett.bandcamp.com. Go there, know there, hang there, and go support him for sure. So check it out. There is the album, and then the sky slammed shut. I'm not gonna. No further ado necessary. And we're looking at it also on the mobile, on the verticals. And let me blow that up as much as I can. There we go. So hopefully we'll be able to see some words.
If you can scroll over real quick to that album cover. I want to give
yes.
CynicLgrrl
Oh yeah, no. Well,
flowers for this
yes,
one.
we want to do that for sure.
So this cover originally, what I'd talked to her was just the idea of kind of like a mountain range. I was wanting to do mountain range and just kind of a thing, light in the sky of some sort of some event happening, and I ended up calling her to chat about a few like changes, and I had actually just gotten off the phone with my dad, who was having a heart procedure scheduled. And then she said, "Well, you know what? I just had the weirdest idea for a change to this, and I don't know if you're gonna go for it or not now." And I was like, "What is it, like a heart monitor?" And she's like, "Yeah, it's exactly what it is."
Well,
So she incorporated on the far left the stock graph dropping, which is I can't remember what the date range was, but it's a period of time of the Dow recently, and she waited for the right chunk, cut it out, and then turned it into the pulse reading, and with the text in the lettering, which again I had a very basic idea, and she just gave it so much more, and yeah, I love it. I really do.
you know, I hadn't really
I wanted
looked at
something
it.
where the
I hadn't looked at it up close yet.
where the
and-
title doesn't jump out, that like you could look at it and not really realize the lettering's there until you're like looking, you know.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Like I had not looked at it blown up, and when you look at it like this, you kind of realize that it's letters, but it really just does look like a heartbeat, and it's the Heartbeat album. And then you're like, oh shit, okay, no. You zoom in and it says, and then the sky slams shut, which is
And
badass.
especially the lettering, yeah, that's her handwriting, and it looks like metal, like a metal band's album cover. It's that same kind of, you know, jagged lettering, which it fits this album title so well. I've sat on this. Oh, thank you, Oz. Seriously, thank you.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you, Oz. You're the best. Love them.
And thank you everyone in the chat. My dad is doing well. We
and
this,
while we're
this
talking
type-
about album
this-
covers, here's tonight's album cover. This is the this is the thumbnail for tonight that goes right through Jesse's head. So
I love it. I love that she did the she gave it the old "When Doves Cry" treatment right down the
Right?
middle. I
Right?
love that. I'm a
That's
big fan
awesome.
of symmetry. So yeah, I'd sat on this album title for a few years. There was an event. It's referred to as the Tunguska event in the Tunguska Forest. I think it was early 1900s, where there was just this weird sound that happened one day, and they came to this field, and all these trees were just kind of laid down. And a few people that lived nearby had gotten interviewed at the time and talked about what they heard and experienced. And it was translated, so this very well could have just been something that kind of came from a mistranslation. But one of the villagers they spoke to said that he heard this noise and went outside, and he said, I started feeling this insane heat to the point that I almost started to tear off my clothes. And he said, and then the sky slammed shut. And that's the end of his description of it. And I just loved that wording. It's, you'll talk about a rainstorm or something and talk about the sky opening up. You've heard that before. You never hear slamming shut. The idea of it like closing somehow is such a hard thing to picture, but also conjures up such a fucking just be all end all kind of event. So once I realized that I already had a few pieces that were talking about East Palestine, it seemed fitting to take out a couple pieces that weren't explicitly and make this just kind of tightly focused. Really more so than anything else I've done, I think. There's one piece on here that doesn't talk about it. One with wording that kind of ties in, 3 that are explicitly so. But yeah, this just seemed right, and I looked up a good date to release it. The spring equinox seemed like a fitting one. So here
absolutely.
we are. And yeah, and then it worked out for listening party the next night to do it while it's still nice and fresh. And Indy, for those who don't know at home, the man's a purist. He hasn't listened to the last 4 albums you haven't listened to until the listening party. So
That's
Grift, Perennial Edition, fucking 6, Co-opt, however many records I've done since
Right?
the Grift. Yeah, you held out until the listening party.
I wait. It's
I
more
like.
fun that way.
Huge props for that. As such a music nerd, the fact that anyone would want to do that for my songs like means a lot. Because I'm totally one of those like experience an album kind of thing.
Yeah, but I get to fucking hear it live with you. I'd much rather do that than like just kind of nerd out as soon as it's released and dropped to be like, oh, okay, I can listen to it now. It's like, all right, now what? Like, this is so much better. Right? So yeah, no,
and it's fun for me when I'm
privilege.
done with it to get to like, this is me getting to kind of sit back and like actually listen to the record, not just checking for the mix or like uploading it. Like it's done, and I get to sit back and enjoy it with you guys. Is just the most wonderful, rewarding thing. So yeah, I love you guys so much. Seriously.
We Jesse puts out albums
Colin.
like TikToks. Yes, like TikToks. So you could say TikToks or Tic-Tacs. It's basically the same thing. But yes, love you, Colin. We are over on Rockfin too.
I think we're ready. Oh, sorry.
Let's do it. Let's do it. So I said we're over on Rockfin, rockfin.com/INN. We're on rumble.com/Indie News Network. So we're over there, INDIE News Network. We're everywhere, man. You know what? We were supposed to go live on Telegram. I never hit the button. I realized I wasn't recording the vertical. I hit that. Now we're recording vertical. Hi, everybody on vertical. When we start to do that.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody. Good. We got that over again. Oh, and I got a surprise for you. I didn't know when to drop it, but
it's an American tradition.
Did you hear that?
It's an American tradition.
Oh, you know why? Because I'm not sharing my desktop with you. So let's do that one more time for Mr. Jesse.
It's an American tradition.
You hear it?
Oh, yeah. One more time.
It's an American tradition.
Oh, I love it.
How great is that, huh? we got
we've
that
got our
yesterday.
our morning radio show vibes back now. So
Yeah.
I love
Hi,
it.
everybody.
We're
Yes.
fucked.
So we
Okay,
got
so yeah,
Misty
we've got
back.
all of our let's get all of our chuckles out of the way and get down to business here.
All right. Well, that's kind of fitting because this we are fucked, and this will talk about that.
Right? Yeah. For so yeah, this, obviously it was hard to write about really anything other than East Palestine once it happened. And again, knowing that if we let this kind of disappear and we don't hold our focus on this, then anything can fucking get swept past us. And this is such a, it's hard to find a word that adequately conveys the gravity of this. I mean, I did 6 tracks here. I feel like I could do several more on it. But in the interest of keeping it timely and holding people's attention while we had it, I went for it now. This first piece is one of the last ones I wrote for it because I wanted a good opener that kind of set the stage for it. And as much as this could be kind of a concept album about it, I wanted an opener and closer that felt really fitting for it. And this was my opener. We set our sights on Alan Shaw and Norfolk within the first 10 seconds. So I feel like this is a good way to kick it off. Yeah, whenever you're ready. This is February Field.
Let's do it.
Black smoke rises in a February field, looms on the horizon like it's Bethlehem steel. The Senate holds a hearing. They're not hearing your appeal, but Alan Shaw is counting thralls and oozing class appeal. He says, don't pick your blisters, it's just best to let 'em peel, as he has his culpability repealed. You see, I felt the lightning, waited on the thunder, never heard the peal. Turns out it was buried under fog that's dense enough to feel. A fog that lowers down like Alan's crown when he secretes his spiel. When he donates city council each a couple thou to stop their squeals. Well, I'm for having Mr. Shaw divided like the 7 seals, scattered round the globe and painstakingly concealed. He and every other walking clod of greed congealed, and the corporate machinery of which he is but a wheel. Strip it down to parts and keep it safely under heel, otherwise we'll never heal. Otherwise we forfeit every blossom, for its toxins will not yield. Otherwise we're helpless watching. All we'll hear is muffled sobbing overlaid across the gentle whir of the projector reel. Were I any saner by their standards, I'd be glad to hang the banners. As it stands, I spurn the flag and shun the standard. I defiantly reject the real. I reject the will of federal terrorists who throw the word democracy around like it's the holiest protector's shield. Standing quietly while we allow society to wrap itself in piety when half cannot afford a meal. We are minnows wielding class action lawsuits, searching for some justice in the court of eels. Heard the portcullis lock, heard the jury lick its chops, heard the suit was dropped, heard the minnows reached a deal. They're happy ever after in a February field. Details of the settlement were not revealed. Now, if you ask Alan Shaw, that's a comeback story, where he rises from the ashes in the afterbirth of corporate glory, and one in which the residents of Palestine who leave are coming back to see the rainbow sheen that sits atop the creek disguised as something gory. Dead fish in the riverbed like boulders in a quarry. Dead deer in the forest glen, but they are far from Norfolk's quarry. We are what they're seeking to reduce, all too eager to reuse and then recycle once we're 40. We supply a labor force that law forbids aborting. And that's if all should go according. So if you hold a politician's hand, it's fascism you're courting. And that's the fight that gets me out of bed to keep recording. That's the fight that opens up my eyes every morning to chloride on the sunrise and CNN reporting that it's safe to drink the water if you don't know what's been forming. That it's best to trust the experts who ignore the blatant warnings. To disregard the evidence you're currently absorbing. Norfolk's awfully sorry, and their profits fucking soaring. It is silent in a field on a February morning, and that's where we begin our story. 100,000 pounds.
Oh, unless you want to jump right into Supersite. You're muted. You muted.
We can if you want. There's really not much to say about February Field. Obviously, for those who didn't watch his testimony, Alan Shaw said that this was Norfolk Southern was going to be one of the greatest comeback stories of all time. That's where his focus was, and yeah. So I really wanted to just let into him for a while and really set up a very clear, like, here's our fucking villain for this record, and then. Yeah, once I said that's where we begin our story, Supersight felt like the next logical step. So yeah, we can jump right into Supersight.
Yeah, let's do that. And this again has been around Twitter. This was put out right after the disaster happened. I think pretty much you wrote this within a weekend,
a couple days after. Yeah.
And it's taken off. It did pretty well on Twitter. I think it might have been pinned to INN's Twitter for a little while. And so if you see it on Twitter, I actually shared a thread of us doing it vertically with the words scrolling. It's like 21 tweets with all of the words so that everyone could read what they were. And that went around pretty well too. So if you can find that, I'll put that in the chat or somewhere in the description. All right, let's go to Supersight. All right, I'm going to shut up now.
It's a vinyl chloride burned into the air and in the water with your fluoride. Today we'll demonstrate the role that profit plays in cost-benefit analysis to find the worth of your lives. Mind you, we'll be grading on a curve that traces dead fish on the shoreline. Today the town of East Palestine will know the skies of wartime. Wear the shoes of Palestine and know the smell of war crimes. Their pets and livestock will be corpses for the war shrine. This is how you sanction all your farmland in the Fourth Reich. I'm honestly surprised that Pete addressed it in a fortnight. Praised the first responders, but ignored the looming morgue line. Like focus on the cavalry, ignore that every horse died. Never mind, there's not a single cricket, bird, or horsefly, just triclops in the triage tent who expedite the foride. Norfolk taking pages out the Northwoods, north side. Add a dash of NORAD, plant a row of soil mines, give them...
Sorry, everybody, we got to start over. I messed up and our browser froze, so let's do it over because I want to share the words with everybody. Let's go.
100,000 pounds of vinyl chloride burned into the air and in the water with your fluoride. Today we'll demonstrate the role that profit plays in cost-benefit analysis to find the worth of your lives. Mind you, we'll be grading on a curve that traces dead fish on the shoreline. Today the town of East Palestine will know the skies of wartime. Wear the shoes of Palestine and know the smell of war crimes. Their pets and livestock will be corpses for the war shrine. This is how you sanction all your farmland in the Fourth Reich. I'm honestly surprised that Pete addressed it in a fortnight. Praised the first responders, but ignored the looming morgue line. Like focus on the cavalry, ignore that every horse died. Never mind, there's not a single cricket, bird, or horsefly, just triclops in the triage tent who expedite the foride. Norfolk taking pages out the Northwoods, north side. Add a dash of NORAD, plant a row of soil mines, give them lots of black skies and water bright with oil shine, and you can propagate the kind of crop that Gates will normalize. Save your time, give up ever going back to normal life. Norfolk cut its cost, and now this nation pays the morbid price. Norfolk weighed the loss as purely human, so they rolled the dice, knowing Biden had their backs when workers tried to unionize. Knowing all their lobbyists assured they won't be scrutinized, and knowing that the tiny little fine they might be hit with is a part of doing business when your business is to euthanize. To salt the earth, liquidate the brutalized, drench the plains in acid rain, and blame it all on rural minds. Tell them that's just what they get for voting red, and old Team Blue will fall in step and shake their heads and disconnect from humankind. They're never looking up. Their fingers point to you and I. Thanks to years of being trained to frame the little guy, they've seen the film enough to tell you where the blame should lie. The poorest family's EBT card was the mastermind. Those little houses won't concern the liberal passerby. They had their dose of NPR. The passive voice will cast aside your raspy breath and swollen eyes, your burning cough that won't subside, your cat that didn't last the night, that pall of death, that blackened sky, the harvest faced in 10 years' time that reaps the waste of wealthy crimes, a 1,000,000-gallon deep decline through super sites and party lines, through hurried graves and leaded pipes, past poisoned slaves and slaughtered tribes, past forgotten treaties that we authored, then we compromised, past our moral fabric, ever brittle, gray, and fossilized, and past the mass of plastic trash that's just this side of ossified. And if you find one root that thrives, a living proof of fruitful vines, just hold it close, take in the sight. Don't plant some host for parasites who in the name of corporate gains see all those murders justified. We're such a waste of insect paste and so much cheaper crucified. We're children of the fuselage, ghosts of all the food deprived, echoes of a working class whose crystal knocked was supersized. Out in Ohio, birds are drowning where they stand. Their eyes reflect a world event that devastates the land. And it's a tale of regulations disemboweled by profit's hand, and their viscera that soaks like so much chloride in the sand.
All right. Amazing.
Man, look at you. Fastest pause button in the West right there.
Woo.
I saw that.
We got it. Because it just wants to skip, and there's no way to just. I could go to the song and then go back and whatever. You know, Bandcamp's a little funny with that, and they're a little funny with the mobile app, but still, I love Bandcamp because they're a platform that cares about creators. So we deal with the little idiosyncrasies and nonsense, whatever, because they actually allow him to make money.
I don't know if you know, Bandcamp workers are on strike right now. They've unionized. And that's pretty fucking cool. So I'm looking more into their union because it's fairly new, newly formed union. But they're just getting going. It was just announced a couple weeks ago. So
it's what all the kids are doing these days.
Exactly, right? Everybody's doing it, man. Yeah.
So,
you know, when I wrote that, again, like you said, it was only a couple days after things happened, and I had only seen one person really be like, I mean, you get what you vote for, you know, they're a red state. But I know how people are. I know how liberals love to shit on people because they feel like, you know, well, they made a bad decision, so they deserve this. And I had no idea at the time how much of that I was going to end up seeing from randos and TV people and fucking, you know, whatever celebrity wanted to open their mouth. So many people love to minimize people's suffering and act like that shit's not going to happen to them because they made the right choice in a system where your choice is completely fucking arbitrary.
It's like, don't you get that could be your town? Like, this is what I don't understand from anybody. Like, it's not about red or blue. Like, trains go through every town, red and blue, whether it's Norfolk Southern or it's Union Pacific or it's one of these train rail companies. Like, this could be my town, and what they're doing to the rail workers and all this stuff. Like, nobody wants to pay attention because it's just not comfortable and it's not easy to talk about, and there's no easy fix other than do something to the rail companies to force them to pay more, to hire more, to let's nationalize the railways as the Rail Workers Union has been talking about, Rail Workers United. So give them a hookup at Rail Workers United on Twitter.
Study your French, folks.
Oh my goodness, they are just been remarkable.
That's one of my favorite Marx facts is that he used to refer to rioting in other countries as learning to speak French.
Crab is saying, obviously, it's Trump's fault. We did get another super chat, $2 from Insanity's Reign. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you. And to whoever, I don't know if it's someone that's in chat that just made the Bandcamp purchase a minute ago. Thank you tremendously. Like, obviously I have my music set to free because I you know, it's not about money. I wouldn't be doing the songs I was doing if I was trying to make money. But I know how much we're all hurting. So when someone throws me a few dollars and says like, times are tough, I wish it could be more, I know you're not just saying that. And it seriously, it means the world. It really does. So thank you.
All right. So this is Ground Zero Pizza Hut. And I remember we played this and you played this live. You performed this live. Was that during our last show at the end?
It might have been. I think so. Yeah. Because it was new at the time. This piece, you know, it started with just kind of thinking about how tied we get to brand nostalgia. I mean, fuck it, I have it too. We all do. That's, you know, we grow up in it. We're soaking in it. But the idea of like what a plot of land goes through, starting with the Native American Native American remains that are probably there, like the earliest history of it, going to the bullshit that we do with it, putting up a strip mall, tearing it down, putting up a yoga parlor, tearing it down, just whatever bullshit we choose to do with a chunk of earth, in spite of what we could do with it. And the idea of something as mundane as a Pizza Hut being torn down and people like genuinely missing it. Really, I wanted to try to make that, like, give it some romanticism, especially if things all went to shit, you know, some little place like that would end up meaning something to you. Yeah, this piece, it isn't, you know, it isn't about East Palestine, but in terms of the massive changes that we force a place to undergo, and force people through, it fit that theme. So yeah, this is Ground Zero Pizza Hut.
All right, I'll take a couple minutes if you think that you can spare a few, and try to mask my bitterness like wild berry theraflu. Sometimes I find things bearable, I really do. Sometimes I'm marigolds and baby blue. Sometimes I make it 20 minutes without thinking to myself how those who chose to starve you will not take the time to stay and bury you. No chariots will carry you to Arlington or Xanadu, come lay you in the vacant space that sits beneath your panic room. So this one's for the native graves on which we laid some tanning booths that closed within a year and changed to mom and pop Italian food. That got pushed out for Pizza Hut, which got shut down for safety codes, and in the end, the building was demolished for the danger posed. Now there's just an empty field where little vegetation grows, where now and then you'll think you hear the wind when there's no wind that blows. Maybe that's the echo of the laughter of the natives when they see how we can't feed ourselves or fashion our own winter clothes, watching us like human moths all drawn where'er the ember goes, with all the sea a garbage heap and mountains stripped like centerfolds. And down beyond the crater where the river flows, polyfluoroalkyl trout are mating in the witch's grove. Each are casting dirty glances, third eyes, courtesy Monsanto, glaring at the only trout with two who dared to interlope. Now maybe that was truly thunder, humming through the stones below, or native spirits laughing with a cackle like a thunderbolt that rendered in one brilliant flash to shattered glass this sundered gloam. Or maybe it's the rumble of a humbling karmic undertow. Maybe we've been swept away by titan waves with plastic foam, so every day we gasp and writhe, our hopes alight with phosphorus glow. Gods, what awful prospect to restore this nation's monstrous soul. And yet the concept is a constant threat of promise kept to bait the polls. And then they take those votes as far from all us nosy proles as they can coast on half the world's reserves of coal. And take the rest to go and try to overdose before they hit the polls. Crashed a global market, broke a couple bones. Made a couple buddies, faked a dozen loans. Torched a lot of farms, I bet you never heard. Cops were being cops, they said a couple words. Well, over in the vacant lot on 23rd, someone traced the Pizza Hut from memory in the ash and dirt. As I stood and stared, I heard the wind, and yet no wind had stirred. Still, I found myself concerned that I might see the sketch disturbed. I sat within a booth, outlined upon the vacant earth, as one might touch the only stone still standing in their place of birth. sick for dumb nostalgia, which the truly branded yearn. Then I heard their voices rushing past. You'll never learn. You'll never learn.
And I know you were ordering a Super Supreme when you were sitting in that booth, right? Is that what was going on? You were trying to order and like that. You'll never learn. Yeah, because there's nobody left working here. Is that the deal? Okay.
That would absolutely be me. I would be sitting where the Pizza Hut used to be, rocking back and forth and repeating my order over and over. Absolutely no one.
Oh my God. I'll have a Super Supreme and a Pepsi. Because remember, there was the whole story with the Pizza Hut and the Pepsi and that's a whole story about like Pepsi, everybody like is Pepsi okay? Used to be like the store, the joke in the stores, in all the restaurants, and like they decided to buy restaurants because it was cheaper than trying to convince restaurants to put Pepsi in instead of Coke.
Right.
So they had their own restaurants, and you could only get Pepsi in those restaurants. It wasn't, is it okay? That's all there is, because it's their restaurants. And it was like Pizza Hut and Taco Bell, and they bought a bunch of stuff. Really funny. Anyway, now the next one I know very well.
Yep.
We shared that quite a bit.
Yep. So yeah, this one, again, I have Hello Somebody, but I never mention Nina Turner by name in that piece. And so I felt like, especially once I saw her kind of fire up the tweet machine again and just start hitting these softballs all day of just shit we know, just trying to drum up support of people that are like, see, she gets it. And then the horror of seeing that still is working on a whole bunch of people. People are still just like diving in for it. And so my idea for the piece about her became this very Wile E. Coyote kind of idea of her painting an empty swimming pool to look like there's water in it, an appealing, refreshing blue wave, and people just diving into that fucker head first and not learning. And then it kind of spiraled into, what are they willing to ignore to get swept up in this, and what are they willing to walk past? So I was able to, at this point, East Palestine had happened, so anything I wrote that theoretical cloud is looming overhead. This felt like the best swipe at Nina Turner that I could come up with. And
yeah, she's definitely Crab unbossed
on this.
Yes, this is definitely unbossed, this piece.
And I did, if this was going on a different album that was just normal political kind of stuff, and not that these couldn't come later, I would have done a triple threat where you also had Marianne Williamson doing a mass hypnosis with her magical orbs, and then Katie Porter taking her Sharpie and making a convincing looking tunnel onto a brick wall and cars crashing into it. Again, some really solid Wile E. Coyote hijinks, but it translates to politics. It's the old, bait and switch, the old Peanuts football gag.
Oh, it's my favorite.
We live in a fucking cartoon, as the kids say.
Steve, and okay, so Crab just lost his jersey card. I missed Papa John's when it was Papa John. Get out of here. All right, you're out. Okay, I didn't want to hear that. You live in New Jersey, and you just talked about Papa John. All right.
I've done a really good job about not letting these pizza wars infiltrate.
Let's get to Nina Turner, and let's not talk about pizza. Okay, let's talk about concrete pools.
I saw Nina Turner with a roller dipped in ocean blue, spreading lifelike water in a painted pool. She smoothed the surface out and made a little wave or two, a few convincing ripples and reflections ripe for hazing you and every other vacant fool who saw her build a cage for you and still return to ah and ooh and walk right past the toxic plume to witness Nina's masterpiece, her grand charade, her painted pool. The hints of light that trick your eyes, the trap inside the lapis jewel. The half-imagined voice that tries to lavish you with platitudes and lure you in those baited waters, hook and sinker, absolute. I know you've thought about just diving in it, haven't you? Now that Nina's got you feeling like you're splatterproof, Progressivism ain't a pipeline to the blue side, baby, it's a waiting room. And it leads you to a pool with 0 waiting room. And every lemming diving in that painted pool today will not be swayed and can't be saved. I know, I tried to save a few, but I ultimately watched them eat the pavement. Those who get less leisure time than peasants in the Middle Ages. Those for whom a dozen fucking eggs are worth an hour of their wages. Heaven's not a place on earth, and hell is what you make it. And look at us, we made it. America, degraded, diving in a painted fake oasis on the basis of a break in their enslavement. Lined up at the diving board, excited and impatient, pointing fingers halfway round the world to cry invasion. And turning backs on human rights at home, because the location doesn't fit with our narration. You'll never spot the sanctions if you still deny the occupations. You see, the end came and went. I guess you missed the high note. Like we're gonna miss the last white rhino. The harbinger of end times was floating in the sky, but nobody saw the message past the clouds above Ohio. Where BlackRock is demonstrating sell high, buy low. A toxic mass eviction in the heartland, suddenly your city spans a 15-minute biodome. Cops on every corner, every blink of yours reported, every word that's out of order is summarily recorded. When information's valuable, your privacy's as malleable as safety in a school or your right to an abortion. But we know the face of every thief who came to take our portions, who auctioned off our pensions, built 100 bloody warships. And I bet you didn't know you were a donor for it. I bet you didn't know we still do no-knock warrants. Yeah, who could have guessed that if unnecessary force was left to officer discretion, the result is something morbid and inhuman and abhorrent. All of which is in your feed and whirling in the torrent. All of which is coursing through the current. All our fate, like Julian's, is hinging on American assurance, which history has proved to be as honest as me telling you it's raining while I'm drenching you with urine. Then telling you the urine's really liquid fucking mustard gas. Then ditch it in the pasture land like best of luck and light the match. Then telling you to disregard that pestilence that billows past. And all from in the comforts of my safety hatch. Down in the bunker, there's a massive empty pool that Nina Turner patiently is painting ocean blue. Its depth is deathly shallow, but deception swears it true. And she draws the drooling willing 2 by 2.
Definitely a Noah like arc reference. The 2x2, the drooling willing 2x2. That's just genius. And
Nina 24.
No, well, it's Williamson Turner 24. Get it right. Come on, bro. Come on. That's what. But I don't know. Honestly, it's got to be. It's the Crystal Kyle wing of the shit lib party that's the only ones that seem to be championing that, because everyone else is making fun of it. So thankfully, politics girl, even politics girl, we don't need a Democratic primary for democracy. Dude, funniest shit I've heard in a long time. So good.
Yeah.
You can't write material that well. Yeah. Okay, so Nina Turner, I'm going to take a dive. Definitely. Melvin, the Mop Boy, by the way, I screen capped that tweet, so I've got that permanently. He deleted it, but I've got it. It was so good.
I snorted coffee through my nose at work because of him.
It was so good. Oh, I love that guy so much. He's so good. And I see Snow Himbo in here. Himbo, what's up, dude? You're awesome. Hilarious. All right, so we've got 2 more tracks. And
yes.
These I haven't heard.
This next one is meaty. This one I talked to you a little bit about before we went live. This piece was inspired by talking to my dad briefly about Ukraine and being very surprised that it's like they got to him already. what he was saying was just kind of what I'd heard from, what the news is telling you. And in one way, I'm not surprised, because we're living in the most propagandized country on earth. But my dad, I mean, both my parents, when the Iraq War happened, they were like, "What the fuck is this?" Like they knew better. And this was growing up in a place where we had all the restaurants had freedom fries on the menu all of a sudden. Everyone was very gung ho and very ready for war. So it felt like the meme of like, okay, so they lied about Vietnam and Iraq and Afghanistan and Libya, but they're telling the truth about Ukraine. But it also was one of those situations, like, we know if you try to talk with anyone, you feel like the crazy person as soon as you start trying to tell people what you know to be true. You can bring up a unredacted document from a government website, and you still sound like the tinfoil hat guy. And this piece was about how that doesn't bother me with ordinary people. Normally I can just talk to someone. If we kind of hit that wall, I'm like, okay, you can go on your way. I'm not going to try to waste my time trying to change everybody's mind and convert everyone, because it's, you can't live your life that way. But when it's someone that you care about, you hit this wall where you feel like are you doing them a disservice by not trying to break through and get them to understand more. But yeah, that's just kind of where this came from. And then, like everything else, I'll start talking about that, and then kind of get into the weight of what's behind that and what's going on. So yeah, this piece was way more personal of a spoken word piece than I usually end up doing. But I think it's also very relatable to anyone that knows what's up. It's not like everyone in your life is on board with you, and there are some people that you have to just kind of let that go. And this is a good case of that. So hit it, Indy.
It isn't rare for me to witness one of propaganda's victims spitting back the facts they're given. And I've learned it's better not to listen, lest I find myself compelled to try and help them grasp the greater picture. I can walk away, contented not to bother. But that's harder when the victim is your father. When it's a man who saw beyond the feeble reasons we were offered to go occupy Iraq, till after 20 years of slaughter, the democracy we came to spread does not extend a centimeter farther than the army bases stocked with our marauders. This isn't foreign land, but Dad, I beg you, please don't drink the water. Please don't view the news as something other than a transcript of the sheriff's office blotter. There aren't any officers worth half their salt. I can't recall a decent cop. The brush with which I paint is something broader. The brush with which I paint conveys the shade of beaten daughters, of officers who trafficked children shielded by the guise of honor, shielded by a culture that uplifts them to such high regard it overlooks the powder mark that always was their calling card. Now we're told to fall apart at Biden's feet and make a plea that he can find it somewhere in his hollow heart to call off all his oligarchs and LEOs in army garb with army tank and lethal arms and carve some path to peace between these monumental prison bars. It isn't hard to listen to the rabble spout the script. They memorized it from the instant it departed Clinton's lips. But once you're standing stunned and hearing State Department clips from a voice that taught you right from wrong, you're loath to come to grips. You'll start slowing to a crawl until you're low enough to limp. You'll be pulled between just holding back or giving Dad a glimpse of every hospital they've bombed or each civilian that they hit, and pose to take a couple pictures and say, look what Russia did. We're cooking all the history books from now until Berlin, but we're not the fucking heroes here. We're Nazis counting limbs. We lied about Gaddafi and Saddam and Ho Chi Minh. We're the Fourth Reich, shining little city on a hill of sins. We got a taste for war and ain't been civil since. We will show up at your doors and you will let us in. We will colonize your pores, commodify your skin, and you'll consent to this and more if you're not vigilant. Or Jesus, even outright militant. How many citizens could hope to glimpse the light again if they signed on the dotted line to sacrifice the wiring out their filament? And mind you, winter's imminent. What could you expect from those you've trained to know they're only worth donations they can make to those a half a world away who daily writhe in NATO's throes on top of years of Nazi occupation? We're so used to being bled, so what's another leech or 10? 'Cause once your blood is not your own, it matters not the destination. Be it on the altar stone of Capitol or in the river. Be it in the streets 'cause the police saw you were moments from committing free speech and so justice was delivered. Or be it in a glass for Bill Clinton so he lives to see another winter. This is cattle syndrome, if you need a raw descriptor. It's passive pasture victims slurping CIA scriptures out the cistern. Only change the water every midterm. It's democratic progress via inchworm, tethered to a twig while Harris breaks it down to kid terms. Watch me lock a full-body cringe like a pinched nerve. Watch me try to stop the clip fist first. Watch me spend a half an hour staring out the window till the first verse, fifth verse, and all that's in the middle hits my fingers with a ripple on the Richter that is suited more for those who see the war than the unwilling listener, who blocks out all the bombs along with native whispers that drift along the wind with a familiar whistle or plummet from the sky like hellfire missiles. The sun observes it all, the leaves that fall on thistle, the truth that's underneath the skin betwixt the gristle, the truth that leaves your lips and brings your swift dismissal. The sun withholds his speech. It seems the only words he knows are those that sow division. The sun can see the truth as from the windows of a prison. The sun can see the dawn before it's even risen. The sun can see it all, though he may wish he didn't.
Look at you with the play on words there.
Yeah, right?
I see what you did there. All right. Dumb high guy's got to make the comment somewhere. So, yes, I see what you did there. Like, wait a minute. Hey, now, that's the title, right? That's, okay.
I really loved was tethered to a twig while Harris breaks it down to kid terms.
Dude.
I had just seen the bus, her talking about the bus, that clip, like, oh God. So yeah, that brings us to the last piece. I wanted a closing piece that used the title in it and ended some verses with it. And the temptation to bring Pizza Hut back was great, but I felt like it was low-hanging fruit. And while that's still fruit, not to knock low-hanging fruit, it's still delicious. I avoided it here. I felt like they'd be expecting that one. So yeah, this is the last track for the album and title track. This is, and then the Sky Slam shot.
All right, I gotta scroll this down.
Very, very much, East Palestine.
All right.
Obviously taking some liberties with it. I wasn't there myself, but yeah, this felt like a good way to close it.
Well, in speaking with some of the people from East that are raising money and doing mutual aid for East Palestine, Jenna lives about 12 miles away. They were talking about finding runoff water as far as Ontario so far that had sheen in it, that they were declaring potentially could have come from East Palestine. So it's going to spread, and the question is how far. But so let's listen to, and then the Sky Slam shut. If you want to listen to that interview, that is on INN. I premiered it earlier today. It was also the first hour and change of How Do We Miss That? If you want to watch that live, that's also on INN from Sunday night. So here, let's listen to the title track.
I dreamed last night of lifeless skies, of hands that blocked the sun, of rain at dawn that burned my eyes and made the colors run, where I stumbled down a hillside in a deep-scored Titan rut. I breathed in deep, I smelled the fuel, and then the sky slammed shut. Today I watched a line of clouds hang sickly in the haze, as they stood before the towering blaze, imploring us to stay. Then something made me look above, I couldn't tell you what. I saw a writhing, falling dove, and then the sky slammed shut. Today I watched the hand that feeds condemn us to our homes, and I watched them curse the very air and leave us there alone. Today I watched the hand that feeds dig scraps out from my gut, pour chloride on each sprouted seed, and then the sky slammed shut. I felt some massive pressure pull me prone upon the ground, so that in my very marrow I was conscious of the sound, and I heard the groan of twisting tracks. I heard each snapping strut. I felt the roar go up my back. And then the sky slammed shut. And in that morbid instant, how the soil seemed to cry, how the very dirt formed violent words that pried open my eyes, and I saw our faults that ran so deep that left the cleanest cuts. I felt the quivering earth beneath, and then the sky slammed shut.
Damn. Okay, what just happened? Oh, it just skipped down to the end or something. Okay.
So yeah, I mentioned in the post about the album that obviously it means a lot to get any kind of financial support. But if anyone is so inclined, the people at United for East Palestine are doing independent testing, and we are the only ones that look out for us. And so we'll have links posted. I'm sure Indy will drop one here, and then we'll have it in the posts for this on Twitter and everything.
Yeah, there's like a donor box link.
If nothing else, check them out and share their posts and help them get some visibility. They're getting some this week. I mean, Jimmy had them on the other night. I know Misty's been uplifting them a bunch, so they've got a lot of people. Thank God there's a whole lot of people that realize the severity of this and aren't willing to let this go. So
there you go. I've got it up on screen now.
That's the album.
This is the donor box where you can actually donate. You can see they've already raised over $1,500. I mean, they've got a big goal because they have a lot of testing to go. It was at 900 on Friday, so they've done okay after the Jimmy appearance. Hopefully, they'll get some more. And I
can't imagine you go on Jimmy and then that's the end of it.
Well, we'll have them back. They're going to be going on with Tara. I know that I spoke to Lori Spencer over at Maverick News. They're going to be having them on as well. Colin and Reef have talked about having them on INN News, so we're going to keep them busy. Plus, I know there are plenty of other people in East Palestine we can talk to as well, and plenty of other groups that are going to need our help. So there's going to be a lot to talk about.
For sure.
Any other surprises? Anything else you're going to drop on us? So can we expect like summer, July 4th? When's the next one coming already?
I mean, I've already started writing, lyrics for it, and have a few instrumentals in the works. There's a new drum pack on GarageBand that's just fucking absurdly good, and I've been getting some really good Joe Biden samples, some early Joe Biden samples to work with, and it's going to be love notes from Gitmo. And I was thinking, especially since everything is posted for free, I can choose on Bandcamp to say you can't give me any money for this record, in which case I could do whatever I want in terms of like samples. So it'd be really fun for a record about things that are being made increasingly illegal and with a Gitmo theme to it, to have it be just as illegal and illegitimate as I can get my samples, just as blatant and just like the record that could not be in any other context other than just free for you to listen to, and there is no way for me to make money on it.
We have a request in chat for Depop Culture.
Ooh, I have a little water. Let's try it. Sure.
How do we get the music? Or are you just gonna do it spoken word?
I'm not one. Oh no, I got the guitar right here. I always got my guitar.
Nice. Woo.
All right.
Well, then in that case,
let's see.
Right. Gitmo Blues by Ron DeSantis. Fussy Slippers. Nice.
All right.
Sebastiano, welcome. Charlie Mack, you've been here the whole time. Good to see you, man. Yeah, that was blew me away as usual.
Help, this isn't in some weird ass tuning. It might be. Whoa.
Yo. Damn. I won't sing on this one. I promise. I'll leave this one to Jesse because I can't spit the bars he spits on this one. He kills me. So good.
Okay. All right, bear with me. I have not done any singing today, and we're gonna find out how detrimental that turns out to have been. Just because I love saying it. From the album "Everyone Who Disagrees with You Is an Extremist," this is Depop Culture.
I guess this isn't such an awful place. Is that what you want me to say? You prove it's possible to sleep for days and still think you're right here awake. The cost of living isn't much to make, but God, it's so hard to save. And when they told you everything was safe, were you safe? Were you safe? I guess this isn't such an awful place. Is that what you want me to say? You prove it's possible to sleep for days and still think you're right here awake. The cost of living isn't much to make, but God, it's so hard to save. And when they told you everything was safe, were you safe? You safe.
Fresh off the masses, the brand new cancerous growth, who has come here to vie for your vote, who has come here to cry at the camps and to mourn at the shore for the bodies that float by the wreck of an immigrant boat. Then it's back to their luxury home, couple security booths and a moat, couple cigars, little escargot, little booze and a soak. God, just breathe in the steam and the smoke. The pink salt lavender candles are low. Shit, when you do what you do, gotta lighten the load. And he got a life of his own, it's a sight to behold. And it's a lot to control, to decipher the code or to siphon the soul. You see, the cost of a good night's sleep for the working elite is a bargain, no matter the toll. It's worth any wager, and that comes straight from the mouth of the means to the goal that will swallow us whole. It's right for the picking if you don't mind mold, and you know I don't. Maybe we're pleasantly prone, maybe we're taking a licking, compliantly ticking and ticking and ticking, but never explode. Now I don't deliver the prettiest image, but damn if it isn't an accurate vision, a natural fission of rage at the system and abject heartbreak, patiently waiting for any who'll listen. Cause that little blue bird who is watching your words is a federal carrier pigeon, a Langley first. It's a patient observer who hears what it wants and is trained for the worst. Oh, you got nothing to hide. They'll be the ones to decide that after they root through your purse, after they read all your texts, after they raid your apartment and confiscate all of its contents, conjure up evidence out of the air on a wing in a prayer and malicious intelligence nonsense. With any presumption of innocence long since gone, right along with your comforts and constants. Now historically first they will come for the communists. So why in the fuck would I say I'm a communist? Well, it might be I love my community more than the monsters of opulence who are holding us hostage, who are vomiting promises. Might be I'm all done seeing our pensions and benefits harvested. Might be I'm all done watching the populace being disarmed in the guise of an armistice. Watching a woman collapse on the floor who will rise no more. She is wheeled out the door and you're next in line for the pharmacist. Shit, if you could get me to vote, it's a hard no confidence. But part of the charm of deception is politics wearing the mask of incompetence. It's all in the order of austerity, darling. It's all in the slide of the providence. Till home is as wide as your cubicle height and it's only as deep as your coffin is. Maybe I'm miles away from impatience, aching to break off the head of the snake where the capital lust, reptile brain in the margin of profit is. Like off with his. Like off with his.
I guess this isn't such an awful place. Never what you want me to say. You prove it's possible to sleep for days and to still think you're right here awake. The cost of living isn't much to make, but God, it's so hard to save. When they told you everything was safe, you say.
And there you have it. We made it.
All right. I held out. I didn't jump in and sing, even though I really. What do you say? I was doing it. I was doing it to the muted
That was
mic.
silky smooth, though.
I was doing it to the muted mic. So I'm getting better. Like I've got like half the lyrics down. Oh, you got nothing to hide. They'll be the ones who decide that after they go through your purse. After I can do about half of it. And
I love it,
bro. It's so good. It's so good. If anybody wants to make Jesse happy, just quote his lyrics and tweets and tag him. And
it's true. That's my love language.
It gets him, and it works because it's good. It's good stuff. So. Oh, we have made it through another one, and this was a listening party, another new album. Oh my god!
Episode 20, man. Thank you. Seriously, I know I say it all the time, but like it's because the magic hasn't worn off. It means so much to get to do this with everybody, to have everyone hang out with me on like a Tuesday night, to just chill with me on a day like this, and yeah, let me nerd out about the songs that I love. So.
Yeah, what we should do is one night have everybody sing your songs to you, like that. Just reverse it one night.
Oh, me karaoke? Are you kidding?
Save
that. That could be like my make-a-wish. If something ever like really traumatic happens to me, like, and I need
Jesse
to get,
karaoke.
Nurse back. That's save that for like keep that in your pocket for a while.
Well, if we have a lyric sheet, as long as we have lyric sheets, because I don't know how many people can keep up and memorize all that shit. So it's amazing. It's lightning fast, and it's Eminem type of speed sometimes.
My my 50s doo-wop album, the the Geiger Age, it's only on Bandcamp. I don't have that on Spotify or anything. The first song on there, a guy on Twitter, username is Ant Necklace, sent me a cover he posted one day, and he figured out the chords and covered the first song on Geiger Age acoustic, and it was so cool to hear someone play one of my songs. Like that was just the neatest thing, and he kind of made it his own, and like it sounded really good, and it was like, oh my gosh, there was something really really incredible about that. So shout out Ant Necklace. I haven't looked in a while to see if he's still on Twitter, but if I find it, I will repost that tonight, because that's one of those kind of, that's something I'm hanging on my wall. That's one of those moments, man. It really is. So,
one of the last episodes we did before our little break here was we did Seuss and H.P. Lovecraft, and Jesse and I were just talking. I was saying I had such a good time doing that and cutting those and playing him reading Seuss for my kids. They loved listening to him doing it. We're definitely going to be doing some more of those in the future coming up. So look for those. We're going to do some more fun cover stuff. We'll do some request stuff. We'll figure it out. But I love doing this show, so I don't want to stop doing it. So as long as you want to keep doing it, I'll keep making them. So
we're going. No, we're still going.
It's good stuff. All right. We're at about an hour, so this was good. And who wanted thumbnails? I don't need thumbnails. We got thumbnails. You did thumbnails. You're the best with thumbnails. Thank you, Cynic. Thank you to Greg. Everyone pitches in and helps out, and we're a great community, seriously. And we will be back in a couple of weeks for the next episode of American Tradition. Tomorrow night on INN, watch for Reef and Colin. And I may jump in with a little bit of a rant on Ryan Grimm. I don't know. We're talking about me jumping in for the last part. The last story is going to be all about the Intercept. well, it's the Intercept going independent, quote unquote. So I got to have something to say about that. Like, come on, All right, we're gonna save it for
We're
tomorrow
only,
night.
we're
But
only gonna get like 5 to 10% of our funding from this beginner. He'll have like zero influence, I promise.
except the board seat and and an any defunded person on the board beyond it who won the Nobel Prize and she's buddied with Hillary Clinton. But other than that, we're fine. We're fine.
He asked for something
guys.
called carte blanche, but I don't speak French, so I told him sure.
Independent. All right, so that'll be tomorrow night on INN News. Thursday night, Crab and his buddy Chris, Bread and Circuses, have been doing a show for the last couple of weeks. They're going to do a show Thursday night about 10:30, 10:15-ish. And I've been having fun watching them. They're breaking down all kinds of propaganda nonsense. What is it called? Propaganda something, deconstructing propaganda or something like that. That's a great show. I love watching that. And then Friday night, Tara's going to be back live. Tara's been on break for about 6 weeks. Tara's going to have the United for East Palestine people that I interviewed, Alex and Jenna. They'll be live with Tara, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 Pacific on Friday night. Sunday night, we got How Do We Miss That Again? And we're going to have all new stories. I'm excited about that. It's been a couple weeks since we did a couple stories, and we're going to be busy. I'll cut a couple of these out. I think we'll cut out deep pop culture and probably put that out acoustically as a clip. Great. And cool. Well, all right. Well, there you have it. I want to say thank you. But you go ahead. Your show. Oh no, same. I was gonna tell everybody thank you again. It means so much to have everyone here and hanging out. So love you guys. Yeah. And I'm gonna say keep. Yeah, I'm gonna say keep questioning everyone's motivations, and now I'm gonna play this, and I don't know what the hell we're gonna get at the end, but let's we're all gonna learn together.